Hi, everybody. This is Peace and Wealth, and we're here every weekend. Today we've got Ebi-Sheila with us, and she'll be just along. And Marleen, Dr. Marleen Greenleaf, will be here next week. And she is now overcoming lots of personal problems and getting back to normal. So we apologise for her not being here last week, but she'll definitely be here next week. So without more ado, let me bring Ebi-Sheila on.
Hello, everybody.
Good day. How are you?
I'm good. Very well. Thank you.
Good. Well, I'm just about awake. It's very early in the morning here, and it's very late at night for you, but I'm fine. So, Ebi, we were talking about non-violent communication in embodiment Q&A yesterday, Friday. We were talking about speech and how important it is to realize it just doesn't start on the lips, although it does for many people. They don't kind of consider what they say. I know a few people who just speak and the brain doesn't seem to be connected to the words. You know what I mean? But we're talking about something else. We're talking about how the body and the spirit really are behind the scenes in everything we do, but especially when we speak. And so, yes, for peace and wealth, if your body isn't peaceful, then and wealthy, then your words will come across in a way that might offend or might upset equilibrium, and it's becoming quite a phenomenon known as non-violent communication. Just a little background to this. It's actually a Buddhist notion. As you know, I'm a strong Buddhist. And it started with, at least a century ago. No, not a century ago. At least 150 years ago with Mahatma Gandhi. He sort of brought this to the public eye because the government were pushing him to do all sorts of things, raise taxes and all this. He was a government member and he refused. And they wouldn't accept his words. So he just went on a hunger fast. So he just stopped eating for 80, 90 days to get his point across. He almost died several times. And it was the only way he could get this idea of nonviolent communication across. So he started it. And then it was followed on by Rosenberg in the 70s, who developed it as an academic. And basically, it's a very old Buddhist Vedic idea, long before Buddhism, in the Vedic era, where we find people are so spiritual. So they are spiritual inside, and it means every word that they utter is kind, reassuring, sincere, all of those things we really respect and we really all want to be, but we're forced into this digital era where we perform, aren't we? So it's a fantastic subject. How are you feeling about it, Ebi?
Yeah, I never really thought about it as, like most people, I just thought about it as words. But learning that, no, it starts from the inside. So what we're saying congruent to what our body is saying. So for example, this is a simple one. When somebody asks you a question, how are you feeling? And you say, I'm feeling great.
I love that.
How you do it. So, but this is just a simple one. So
I'm feeling great.
Yeah, I'm feeling great. Somebody asks you something and you're saying the opposite of what's actually coming out. And that happens quite a lot.
Mm.
And being the observing what's coming out. So when someone, so you actually know from their calibration, sometimes from their eyes, you know, if they say I'm great, you can actually see it in the color of their skin. It kind of changes, it becomes like dull.
Yeah.
So the body is always speaking. And I'm beginning to realize, because there's all this thing about violence in words and stuff, and I think a lot of the times when the people preaching against words being violent are themselves producing words that are violent because they're speaking from a place of anger,
Mm.
a space of pain or something negative.
Mm.
It really needs, if we want to make this successful, we really need to be looking at ourselves. How are we feeling inside before we're going out and judging other people or judging the situation? What's going on inside of us? Because we, like, there's a saying that goes, be the change you want to see. And I think that's a Buddhist saying, actually. Be the change you want to see.
Yes.
So we're trying to always make correction of others.
Mm. Yeah.
Then it's not congruent with what's inside of us.
Yes,
It all comes
absolutely.
down to health and wealth and peace, you know, because wealth is all about how we're feeling inside. And obviously money is important, but money is not actually wealth. That's money is like currency, because
Mm.
it's more bigger than just having money.
Mm. Absolutely, absolutely. And I think the fact that the words we say can feel so empty, you know, in other words, they're not reflecting how we're feeling at all. They're such a lie in a way. It says it all, doesn't it? That words are symbols. They
Yeah.
are, they're like a kind of lid on the top of the feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And in the intellectual visual world, what we call the limited mind, of course, we trade in those symbols, words and images, but they're also abstract, you know, so that you may say one word to one person and say it to another, and there's a completely different interpretation. So this is all happening within the brilliant but limited mind. So if we start to go down below that into the heart, then Buddhists will talk about compassion, and they'll talk about heart space. So, you know, we always want to speak from the heart. And
The heart doesn't lie.
the heart doesn't lie because the body doesn't lie. That's right. And 2,000-3,000 years ago, when the great spiritual leaders emerged, they had this aura which attracted so many people. Now, there we have, I think, a very good example of how their inner state, which is so pure and so driven by the heart, attracted thousands of people to come and listen to them speaking. So there we can see that, you know, our inner state will express something, will radiate something that other people are attracted to.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, long before the days of the internet, these spiritual leaders were attracting crowds of several million people, it is recorded, who would travel from many, many far places to come and hear them speak. They were so impressed by their inner state. So it really is that that radiance, you know, which only comes from our connection with ourselves. If we're not connected, as we've said many, many times before, if we're not really connected with who we are, then it's so difficult to radiate the right signals, if you see what I mean. So if you're in business on the internet, if you are not connected, you may find you're attracting all the people you don't want, all the people who are not really in your tribe.
Yes, yes.
And once you get connected, once you really start to see what's important, and you're compassionate with yourself, and you are patient with yourself and so on, then suddenly all the right people start flooding towards you. And for me as a business owner, that is so important.
So one of my teachers said, he said, when you start to coach people, you probably see yourself coming to you.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah.
So if you're getting a lot of people coming to you that are negative, what's going on? It's a good reflection of where you are,
Yes.
So you might be complaining, why do I keep getting this kind of car? Why do I keep getting this kind of car? But the thing is, look, like you said, once you start to change inside, you start to see the positive around you. And so it is with negative. Once you need to work on something, you start seeing those negatives around you. So it's about going inside. So we're always giving these symptoms or clues as to what we need to be doing to strengthen ourselves. And once you start correcting those things or aligning those things, I don't want to once you start aligned, and then you start to notice the difference with the kind of people that come around you. And it's not to say that you're wrong, but we need to grow. And sometimes to grow, we're presented, doesn't mean we're bad, but we can't just stay stagnant. We're here, we're growing all the time. And so you see something that needs for you to make a change. So to find peace, I find is finding gratitude with all encounters. Even though initially I might be seeing it as, oh, I really don't want to go down that road. But it's gratitude to that person that's coming to teach me, because everybody, and again, I think this is Buddhist too, everybody's a teacher.
Everybody's your teacher. Yeah, that's I can say that throughout my long life, I've learned so much from the people that we conflicted in some way. There was some kind of animosity between us. And the Buddhist teachings say, okay, don't quit this. And of course, if we say, okay, if you don't want to communicate with me, then goodbye. We're quite aggressive and we walk away in a huff, Well, that is a very good example of lack of self-compassion. Because if we abandon ourselves like that and move on thinking it doesn't matter, then we are neglecting a huge side of our existence, which is our relationships with ourself, So if you stay and you take these not so nice words or criticism or what, especially criticism, I think people are particularly upset by any kind of criticism because they have a huge ego, which is this. Well, it's all here. The body doesn't have an ego. The spirit doesn't have an ego, really. And so, if we are truly trapped in our heads, then we can't be self-compassionate, and we just walk off and find someone else and probably do the same thing. So it's always been my practice. So it's compounded, because we're constantly doing that, abandoning ourselves and not staying there to negotiate and navigate and learn from this person who is treating you so badly as you see it. So.
And one of the great lessons in this is, like you said, take the breath in, take it out before you speak, and that gives your brain the time to calibrate and what you need to say. Because I think sometimes we just take the breath in and then we just react.
Yes, That's
Yeah.
it. It's all about reacting, and that's about the ego.
Mm.
And we've never mentioned this word before, but now we've got a basis of peace and wealth, I think, over the last 20 weeks. Yeah,
Oh, not that far. Oh my
uh,
God.
I'll
Deep-
just tell you what edition we're on. We're on edition 20. Yes, edition
Oh,
20 today.
almost
So
6 months.
that's amazing, isn't it?
Mm.
But yeah, now our audience, LinkedIn and YouTube, have got the idea of peace and wealth within, and how we can bring it about, how we can allow it to be our natural state. Then we can start to talk more business-like way about things like the ego. Now, if in that situation with someone who's really irritating you or criticizing you, you can pause, as Ebi says so beautifully. If you just pause and take a breath and then exhale, you'll say something very different, because you're not reacting. You know, it's not a Pavlov dog response. You're not reacting to that person.
Because
You are saying,
this is part of the breath work, isn't it? Because when you breathe, take a deep breath, and then you breathe out, your brain kind of gets more of a focus, doesn't it?
yeah. Well, it for
Talking of
me.
work, isn't it? So that's part of it.
Yes. Of course, doctors will tell you that if your blood pressure is high, okay, if you go for a checkup and your blood pressure is high, doctors will say, okay, exhale longer than you inhale. So if we inhale too much, we tend to hyperventilate, and that happens up here. And of course, that raises blood pressure levels. So any doctor who sees you with high blood pressure will say, okay, exhale twice as long as you inhale. And so exhaling really starts to send out very different chemicals to the body. And also, it makes more space inside the body, actually. Because of
this is a challenge, because it's forming a new habit.
Yeah.
And so what would you recommend to remind us to do these things? Because I'm finding that I'm forgetting.
Well, and as we saw in embodiment Q&A, your body didn't forget that code I gave you. What was it?
6222859.
You see? So you'll never forget those numbers now, because your body remembered them. So yeah, I think maybe, yes, if it's an ingrained habit to react, and you know, we have to be patient with ourselves, because maybe we're modeling our parents, you know, maybe that's how our parents were. And that's what children see as they grow up. And so they follow that, they model that. So you have to be really patient with yourself and realize that it's not just your fault that you've got this rather damaging habit. It's probably coming from outside originally. So I think the first step really is to commit yourself to connecting with yourself, as you have done with Lodestone. You know, you've made that decision because you felt something quite deeply as you started the Lodestone practice, and when we started to work together. And that little feeling inside, you recognized as some kind of shift. You couldn't really describe it. You don't need to describe it, because if the body is reacting or changing, not reacting, changing in some way, then it's beyond words. You can't describe it. And that's why doctors can't cure it. You see what I mean? Because the diagnosis depends often on descriptions and, you know, so on. So I think if you can make a commitment to the small shifts or changes,
commitment. Give yourself permission. Okay.
Yes. You might be feeling something now as we speak. You might think, oh yeah, wow. And you can't really describe what that feeling is, but that's good. That's a great sign, because what the body experiences, we can't put into words, which
No.
is the whole problem. Because the word is dominated by words. The world is dominated by words. And so it's a considered opinion that if you can't describe something, well, it's not worth considering.
Yeah, yeah.
So if we can't prove it, if we can't see it and prove it, then it's of no import. That's the sad side of this intellectual domination. But if you have a feeling that something is registering with you, something is appealing to you, that's a brilliant sign to start to look more closely at committing yourself to a 30-minute session each day where you are mindful. And if you want to do that, we're giving you the opportunity with mindful moments. So 3 times a week, I am live guiding a mindful session on Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday.
What time?
It's 8 p.m. EDT and 5 p.m. PDT. So, if you're in the States, it's perfect time for you. Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday evenings, really. And then we publish that later for the BST audience. So, come and try it, because I guarantee you will feel something. And then you start to think, oh, well, I've got to explore this. And you come back the next day and you do another practice and you get another little feeling. So the body is saying, hey, come on, we've got to devote some time, some mindful energy to our existence. And if we just let this mind dominate us, we're going to be unhappy, we're going to be angry, we're going to be, all of these negative things, which are completely unnecessary. In fact, you sound as if you're sharpening your pencil again, are you?
No, I don't know. I don't think it's from my end.
Really? You think it might be internet, I suppose. Yeah, it could be.
Yeah, I don't know the crackling sound. Yeah. It was fun. I haven't touched anything. I'm just the way I was.
Oh, I'm sure you haven't. Just let me check my settings. I'll just see if I've got oh no, it's internet, I think. See if I can just change that a little bit. I don't know. Anyway, it's we just think of it as an accompaniment, a drum accompaniment. So yeah, come and try mindful moments, and that will lead you on to Lodestone. And Lodestone is a 30-day program in which you will absolutely drill down below all of those habit patterns, all of that social pressure, to connect with your true nature. And then life is joyful, so joyful. Yeah. So yes, the non-violence. Well, the body is not violent. We may perpetrate violent acts because we are not connected to the body, but in fact, the body is so peaceful naturally, all the systems working beautifully, and with the right guidance, you can live in that unlimited mind and just use the tools of the limited mind when you need them. And that's how I live. And I think, Ebi, you live mostly like that too now.
It's like we question why there's so much disagreements and so much. For me, it just feels like, I don't know, we're getting more knowledgeable, but at the same time, we're getting more violent. And
I absolutely agree. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I think, like you said, there's that disconnection between. So we're using a lot of the intellect, which has its purpose, but because we're not connecting with that disconnection, because that connection is what gets us. Like there's a saying that the natural man is an enemy of God. That's it. Because naturally we are aggressive because because of the fear. So the flight or fright. So anything that's different from us, we're scared of. We want to protect our territory. So we're just like animals, and we want to protect the territory. But so the intellect is telling us, gets us into that fear. Oh, you need to protect this, or this person is trying to do this to you. Whereas the unlimited mind is just full of love.
Yeah.
And there's love, there's peace. There's peace, and there's wealth.
Absolutely.
Getting back to that love, the peace and wealth, that's so important. So that connection, being in touch with who we really are, is so important. And I just think we just need to get connected, because all these things that's coming from here, I call them, like, the tick box exercise. It's just like,
yeah.
To smile, tick. You're supposed to, but that's just you're just told intellectually you're supposed to. So you're doing it intellectually, but we're human beings, not human doings. So,
yeah.
It should be coming naturally. That we have to.
Why we want to be so unnatural, I don't know. And why?
Like, was it Margaret says about the shooting?
Oh yes, stop shooting yourself.
Stop shooting yourself. And if it is,
that's Margaret Barry. Actually, it wasn't Margaret originally. It was Heather, her daughter, who invented this wonderful phrase: "Stop shooting yourself." Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I think that people say to me, well, how do you get through all this stuff that you're doing? Because we're doing so much work to gather people together, create communities, teach Lodestone, do so much to get all this going outside. But people say, how do you keep going? What, don't you get tired? So my answer is always, and I've said this before on Peace and Wealth, that I am a river. I am a river, not sitting by a river or swimming in a river. I am the river, a river of energy. And that river flows no matter what. If there's an obstacle, I flow over it, or I may flow around it. If there's a drought, I flow underground. But rivers never stop flowing, and they reach the ocean, and they keep the oceans nice and full, So, our flow in life should be so smooth. There's no friction, even if there's an obstacle, even if something goes wrong or doesn't pan out the way you want it. You flow over it, you flow around it, and you learn from it. And so, of course, there will always be obstacles. We're not advocating this kind of ideal life. There will always be. Yeah, part of life.
Obstacles, because then you learn to, should I say maneuver? What's the right language to use?
I like that. Yeah, maneuver. Yeah. You can maneuver around them. And there we see not reacting. So the river doesn't react to the rock. It doesn't say, oh, you're in my way. It just says, oh, okay, I'm going to flow over you then, or I'm going to flow around you. So if you're in conflict with someone, that's maybe a really nice image to have, because you want to flow. You want to keep your personal flow going no matter what. So nothing interrupts that flow. And of course, the parallel with this is the breath. So if your river is flowing with no friction, So I see conflict and disagreement and reactionary behavior as a kind of friction in life. And it's exhausting. It's exhausting. I can't do it now at all. I don't think I haven't done it for years and years. I can't do it. It's exhausting. Now, that's one of the reasons people are getting so exhausted and burning out. And that reminds me, tomorrow, don't forget, we've got Burnout Breakthrough, everybody. If you are concerned about burnout, then every Monday we have the Burnout Breakthrough, and we give you very concrete ways to avoid burnout and prevent it even ever starting. So join us tomorrow, 4 p.m. BST. Anyway, that's just a little plug. But yes, if you are worried about burnout, if you're working really hard and it's your business and, you feel you've got to push forward through lots of stress and conflict, then step away, step back. We often say that too. Step back from the flames. You're too involved in that. So if you step back, just one pace back, you won't get burnt by it. Burn out. So this is it fits with what burnout is. You get burnt, literally. The nervous system gets burnt and damaged. So if you just take a step back, and then maybe that's easier to remember to do than the breathing. I'm not sure. But for me, yes, that just standing back, I can still get the warmth of the fire.
I like that. Yeah, so that, you still
but
get the
I'm safe. I'm not going to get burnt by anything, because I'm observing, really. And we talked about that during the week too, didn't we? That if we can stand aside, if we're very stressed and very upset about something, if we can just pause and stand aside, then we can metacognate. We can see ourselves, and we can say, oh, we can't live like this. We can't go on like this. So let's change something. Let's make some deep changes. And then maybe you'll remember the breath idea. I'm not sure. It depends on who you are.
That's a good strategy. Yes.
So yes, always, for example, in a heated discussion, or when you're having a difficult conversation with someone, the best possible thing you can do is stand back and smile and pause. And that person will be really thrown by that behavior. So this is what, going back to nonviolent communication, this is exactly what Gandhi did. When he was being hounded to change government policy, to make the lives of poor people even worse by raising taxes, he went on a hunger strike. He just lay down and stopped eating. And so the whole world was so shocked by that a human being would do that. But that's what it took for the government to make sense of the human situation they were in. And so, your behavior will really put your aggressor off if you just stand back, fold your arms and smile. And there will be this pause, and there will be a rejig then. Something will change in the way you're interacting. So it's very, very effective, and it often unnerves really aggressive, angry people who can't control their anger. The other thing about anger, which you mentioned, so much anger around. Anger is really a loss of state control. It's not natural, and it means we are not in control of our bodies.
Yeah.
So the body throws up this distress. The limited mind picks it up, and then you get angry thoughts, angry criticisms. You think of the worst possible thing you can say to somebody to hurt them. You actively want to hurt people.
Yeah. Like they say, hurt people hurt. and hurt always looks for company. Oh, so how does it go? You know.
Well,
Oh,
yeah, yeah,
I
they
don't
do.
know.
They do irritate each other, these things, but the anger really is inside the body. And of course, as we know, um, if you lose control of that, it can end in terrible circumstances. So, you know, I've told my story before about my serial killer. So when I was a young music therapist, one of my first clients was a serial killer. He'd committed 5 murders, violent, vicious murders. And I was assigned to him as a music therapist. So I started to work with him 30 meters away, and I had a line. I had to stand behind this line. So I would walk up and down singing and using musical instruments and stuff for 30 minutes once a week. Gradually, I got bolder and I stepped over the line and I got a little bit closer. He was at the far end, chained to a desk, and his feet were chained, and 2 guards. Eventually, I got a little bit closer, walking around, moving around, getting close. And I got to the point where I could look into his eyes. And in those eyes, I saw the most beautiful spirit. Such a beautiful spirit. And so I told him, I spoke and I said, wow, you've got a beautiful spirit. And he cried quite a lot. And he said, how can you love me? I've killed 5 people. So I said, I can see that it was anger that drove you to do those things, and that you were out of control. He said, that's exactly it. I can't remember doing them. So that's the extreme that we can go to if we allow anger to build up. It's like a snowball, really. It will build and build and build. And biochemically, it injects all sorts of damaging chemicals into your body. So cortisol, we need some cortisol. It's the main stress chemical. But you know, if you're angry all the time and it's growing every day, like road rage, for example, you know, you're commuting and it's growing, then you're injecting a very damaging amount of cortisol into your system.
That's the point, right?
Yeah, and that will cause a breakdown. It will cause burnout eventually. Yeah. So I think it's really so important right now that people take action on this, that you start to realize that you've got to find out who you are. And once you do, you'll be in a much stronger position to control your state.
Yeah.
And then the world will be such a better place. So it's not just individual work. And so we, Sheila and I, taking this work into companies, corporations, healthcare providers. I'm working with a clinician at the moment who owns many clinics in California, and he is so keen for me to work with his cancer patients, because cancer can come from this loss of control, and often is associated with anger.
So on that point that you just made, so I used to follow a few years ago when I was having health problems. I got in touch with some people with cancer who were recovered. And the one thing they all said was the forgiveness that really helps them of their journey, because it just holds on to as you know, it goes into the nervous system, and so your cells don't like it, and so your cells don't work for your immune system, doesn't work for you, basically.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. So absolutely, all those systems, all those wonderful systems the body has to keep us healthy and happy, are damaged just because we let this wild horse, Buddhism calls the limited mind a wild horse, a stallion.
I don't know where it's coming from, but it doesn't matter because some people
No.
are so concerned with singing. Where did it come from? It doesn't matter. It's me. Let it go.
Yeah, that's right. You don't have to analyze it.
Yeah, you can't just about the past. You can't change it. So you don't need to know. You just need to learn how to let it go.
That's right. So just stand back.
Yeah.
So maybe that's today's greatest takeaway. You know, if you find yourself getting aroused and becoming reactionary with another human, just stand back, take a pace back, literally, physically,
Yeah.
and you'll see a different perspective on that person.
Yeah.
And hopefully then you remember
Takeaway.
that
Great.
your
Good takeaway.
yes, your breath is key. So take a step back and then breathe. Take time to breathe, and it will really throw that person from attacking you or criticizing you. Yeah. Like Gandhi. So remember Gandhi.
Wow.
He didn't fight with words. He didn't meet them with the same emotions and words as we're often tempted to do. He stepped back, lay down, and prepared to die by not eating. So that really changed India. It was a huge change in the Indian system. Yeah. Oh, my dear, we've come to the end again. We've got the drum roll in the background. I don't know what that strange noise is, but never mind.
Yeah,
It's the internet.
it keeps coming up these days. I don't know.
Yeah, it's strange. I think it might be Japan because we've got a lot of seismic activity here.
Oh, so it's affecting the waves.
And we've got very bad rain and storms everywhere, floods and so on. The weather is just appalling here at the moment. And another typhoon is coming. So it maybe is that.
Yeah.
So, my dear, thanks so much. It's lovely, as always, to talk to you. And we're moving on with our discussions. Nonviolent communication is an ongoing discussion, I think, now. We'll be talking about it next week too, won't we? So come and join us for the events next week to learn more about nonviolent communication and have a gorgeous, peaceful, wealthy week ahead if you're in the States. And Marleen Greenleaf sends you all her love. So she'll be back next week. Okay, Ebi, thank you. Do you want to leave a final message for anybody?
Just peace and wealth.
Absolutely. Says it all, doesn't it? Great. All right. I'll speak to you soon. Have a great week and a great evening and a good sleep time.
Thank you.
Bye for now. Bye.